When I first started practicing as a pediatric clinician, I felt really boxed in by the way that I had to provide services, and all of the career options seemed very limited. None of them really seemed to be aligned with my strengths and the way that I wanted to work and provide services to my clients. If that sounds familiar, then stick around. I'm going to share exactly what mistake I was making so that you don't make the same mistake. My name is Karen Dudek-Brannan, and I help pediatric therapists to plan their next career move so that they can show up in a way that allows them to make a bigger impact with their services. So back when I was working in the school systems, I was a school SLP for 14 years. And I knew when I started that position that it was going to give me some great experience. I really enjoyed being there. I had a great set of coworkers, really reasonable administrators that were really good leaders and very nice to work with. But ultimately, I got to the point where I was ready for that next stage. And I wasn't quite sure what to do. Did I want to start a private practice? Did I want to go into higher ed? I was working on my doctorate, so that was definitely something that was on the table. Did I want to do administration? There were all these different possibilities, and it was kind of overwhelming. But what I found myself doing when I was pursuing different jobs, I would think about what I really wanted and how I envisioned providing services and just some of my work habits and my strengths. And then I would look at the options out there, and I would essentially just throw out the whole thing that I just did when I was considering what I actually wanted. So I was taking what was out there and what I thought the options were, and I was trying to cram myself into those options and make it fit. And I still felt kind of limited, and I couldn't really get excited about any of those directions because they just didn't fit me. So really the mistake that I was making was that I was limiting myself, and I was thinking about what was out there rather than starting with me and trying to create a customized situation that fit with how I wanted to work. So before I could even figure out what option was best for me, I had to get really clear on what I wanted. And what that resulted in was kind of a series of what I refer to as micro experiments, where I did a bunch of mini test runs to just test a bunch of different directions. I did adjunct assignments, I interviewed for administrative positions, and did projects in my school SLP position that were similar to what I would need to do if I was going to be an administrator, to just give myself some experience. I even considered corporate jobs. I kind of just went in a bunch of different directions and did these test runs without actually having to leave my job. And what that helped me do was get really clear on what I wanted and how I wanted to work, and actually opened my eyes to some other possible options. But I wouldn't have ever been able to do what I'm doing right now, which is I have a business where I'm able to mentor clinicians. I have a lot of flexibility in the way that I work. And really, that is the perfect setup for me. But for somebody else, it could be totally different. But the key is that everybody has a unique set of skills and strengths and preferences. And, everybody has a different family situation. So if you're just looking at what's out there without thinking about what you want, sometimes it's easy to try to cram yourself into a situation that isn't going to be right for you because you think it's your only option. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. Many times when you get clear on how you want to work, who you want to work with, where you want to work, the people that you want to work with, and the mission that you are really wanting to live in your life, then it can make a big difference on the opportunities that you are open to seeing. A lot of times we don't even notice some of the opportunities that cross our path, and we miss them because we have this limited thinking of just, what is the typical career path that I'm supposed to do as a clinician. So I'm actually hosting a live event in a couple weeks. It's starting September 19th. It's going to be an ongoing event for pediatric clinicians, and it's called the Clinical Leadership Roundtable. And in this event, I am going to guide you through a 3-stage process that's going to help you design your next career move based on you and based on what you want. Now, I want to be clear here that everybody's situation is going to look a little bit different. There might be an existing position that is a perfect fit for you, but you don't know that until you get clear on what you actually want. And sometimes people have hybrid situations where they might have a job over here with an employer, and then they might be partially self-employed. The great news is that you get to customize the perfect setup for you and start testing it out to see what works. And this is an iterative process. This is something that you can continue to revisit and continue to explore as you move through different stages in your career. So this event is actually going to happen in the Clinical Leadership Mastermind Facebook group. You may be watching this live video from that group. So if you are, just stay put and you will see that live event in a couple weeks, starting September 19th. But if you're watching it from another location, like one of my other social accounts, then I am going to share the link in the description of this video so that you can pop over and join that Facebook group so that you can join us in that Clinical Leadership Roundtable, where I'm going to help you to design that next stage of your career path.